No, I'm not auditioning for the role of Gandalf or of Moses. This is not that kind of cane. This is a sugar cane, and it changed the course of history. Sometime, supposedly about 8,000 years ago, a native in New Guinea chewed on one of these. He found it growing from the ground, and he said to himself, gee, that tastes sweet. And then he found that you could take a cutting from it, plant it, and more of these would grow. And the sugar industry had its foundation. Indian traders came to New Guinea, learned about sugarcane, took it back to India. Along the way, they discovered that you could grind the cane into paste, and from that you could extract a thick liquid that would crystallize, and presto, they had sugar crystals. The sugarcane didn't grow that well in Europe because of the climate, but it did grow in the Canary Islands. And the Spaniards started plantations there. It was from there that Columbus took some cuttings on his second voyage to the New World and introduced sugarcane to the island that today we know as Dominican Republic and Haiti, and founded the sugar industry there. The Portuguese also got into the game, took some sugar cane to Brazil and started plantations. But there was a real dark side to those plantations because the natives were enslaved in order to run the sugar mills and to collect the crops. And eventually, over 1 million Africans were imported as slaves to the Americas to basically work on the sugar plantations. Well, everyone likes sweets. Unfortunately, those sweets are not so good for us. We overconsume the sugar significantly. Today we know that we should not be taking in more than about 40 grams of added sugar a day. That is really the upper limit. But where do we find all this sugar? Let me give you an example. If we take this bottle of soft drink, which is the kind that many people consume, you want to know how much sugar there is in here? About 70 grams. What does that mean? Well, let me show you what 70 grams looks like. This is 70 grams of sugar. It is 18 cubes of sugar. That is a lot of sugar. And of course, sugar is consumed not only in beverages like this, but in cakes and cookies. It's in bread. We certainly overindulge in sugar. And it is a very, very high profit crop. After cereals and rice, it is the most profitable crop to grow in the world. So what do we do about this problem? Well, there are some positive sides to growing sugar. The stuff that is left behind, the so-called bagasse, after the cane has been crushed and the syrup has been extracted from it, that can be used. It can be ground up and it could be made into pulp from which you can make paper. Now in Brazil, they take the sugar and they ferment it to make alcohol. And the cars in Brazil are designed to run either on pure alcohol or on a mixture of alcohol and gasoline. So there are some benefits to the sugar. You can also take some of the bagasse, that is the residue left behind when the cane is crushed, and make edible fiber out of it and put it into cereals. And those cereals have hardly any sugar at all. That's what we're talking about, this kind of fibrous cereal. So there is at least that positive side to sugar. But there is one myth about sugar that I think we should dispel. There is no such thing as a sugar high. That is a myth. Children don't bounce off the walls at birthday parties because they've eaten sugar. They do that because of the atmosphere of a party. That's why they get all excited. Indeed, if anything, sugar has a calming effect. However, not on the body. Not on the body. There it does a lot of mischievous things. So I think it is very important to take a look at the history of sugar, because unfortunately it is intertwined with slavery, which is horrific, but it also is responsible for a lot of the illnesses that we see today. Obesity, which leads to diabetes, it's linked with cancer, it's linked with heart disease. So it is time to cut back on sugar, but when it goes into fiber in cereals, I can go for that.